Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Odyssey House Journals. I'm Randall Carlisle, your host, and this is one of the most watched and listened to podcasts dealing with addiction and recovery. And we love to have people who are in recovery as our guests because hopefully it will inspire you or your loved one to seek some help, because help is possible for anyone, no matter what stage in life you're at or what stage in addiction you're at. So Chuck is our guest today. Welcome, Chuck.
Oh, thank you, Carlisle. I'm glad to be here.
Randall. Yes. It'd be like if I called you by your last name. No, that's all right. You are in recovery right now.
Correct.
But it's been a long road for you, right?
It has. Right now today is 95 days sober for me.
Not that you're counting.
Well, I'm in the habit, I guess. But I'm at Odyssey House Meadowbrook. I'm a Discovery, and I'm the house coordinator up there. And I've learned a tremendous amount in the program. And
tell us, I've had a chance to chat with you about your past in another forum, and I think it's really interesting what you've gotten through, because you went from a very professional situation to a very unprofessional situation, and you're hoping to go back. And what I like about what you've described is the fact that everybody has a second or third or fourth chance if you're willing to work at it. So describe where you were and what happened with addiction.
I think that for a long time, my drug of choice is alcohol. And so I think
Same here, by the way. Let's drink to that.
Well, coffee maybe. But no, I think I had problematic drinking patterns for a long time in my life. But then a divorce in 2012 kind of sent me into a spiral that I lost control of. And I went from, I'm a commercial pilot. I was the chief pilot of a flight school and the program manager, tons of responsibility. And I lost all that to alcohol and to, just loss of self-control. And, eventually it just, they say, your life becomes unmanageable, and mine definitely did.
That happens to the best of us at our worst times. And I understand what you're talking about. I've been through 4 divorces, and as alcoholics or anybody in addiction, we always look to blame someone or something else for us using. Right?
Sure.
So, like you just described, I got divorced and my life just seemed to be falling apart, which we're always looking for an excuse to use whatever it is we're addicted to.
And so we use excuses, but really what I've learned is that, everyone goes through trauma in their life. Divorce certainly isn't uncommon.
No.
It really can rock your boat, though.
Sure.
And it's your response to that trauma. And it's looking at what informs our behavior and what seeds were planted in us when we were young, and the ways that we react in a maladaptive way to the things that happen to us in life, because things are going to happen. And so I think the biggest thing for me in recovery was learning about my own cognitive distortions and some of the negative core values that I had, that were part of my psyche, and learning how to channel those in more positive ways, and learning how to recognize them. And
before you channel them in the wrong way.
Exactly. And, what starts out as an activity that's very conscious and mindful, after you practice it for a while, it becomes a habit, and, habits become behaviors, and behaviors are what we are, who we are.
I've always wondered, and I've been in recovery now for 14 years, but I was a functional alcoholic for decades. And I've always wondered why people like you and I, when we have an event in our life like a divorce, why we turn to something destructive, whereas other people don't. They deal with it in a different way. They go to church, they pray, they meditate, they look at it as just an occurrence of life that happens to half the population or whatever. Why? And I always wondered why we couldn't have been like that.
Randall, I think if we had the answer to that, then Odyssey House would be the largest corporation in the world. But
That's very true.
but I think it goes back to what we learn early in life. Those behaviors that they may have even been beneficial at one time, and sometimes they're reasonable defense mechanisms, right? But as we go through life, and those defense mechanisms are, I guess they become kind of like inflamed and even grotesque in a way, and they change us, who we are. Because something that can protect you sometimes, if it grows to a point that's unhealthy, it becomes a wall between you and connection with other people. And that's what they say, is that the opposite of addiction is connection.
Right.
So,
and the problem is when you're involved when you're in the middle, in the depth of that, you don't recognize it. I didn't. I mean, people would tell me, "You're an alcoholic. You drink too." And I said, "No, I just enjoy drinking. I'm not an alcoholic. I can quit anytime I want."
yeah.
Did you do the same thing?
Well, not only did I say that, but I tried to quit drinking, 100 times on my own. And it's just like you say, we make excuses, and I would manufacture situations that were justification for me to drink.
Sure.
Now I'm upset or irritated, so I better have,
drink.
yeah.
Mine was so bad that I was a TV anchorman, and if we had a bad newscast, we'd go out after the 10 o'clock news and drink at a bar. If we had a good newscast, we'd go out and drink at a bar celebrating our good newscast. I mean, you can find any reason in the world to do that. So this 2012 is the start of your demise, you said.
Yeah.
How bad did it get?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, most recently, and this is, some months ago already, but most recently, my girlfriend, who I've been with for 11 years, and on Valentine's Day, we were supposed to go out in February, and by the time she got home and was ready to go, I was loaded, just completely unfit for public exhibition.
Preparation for the celebration that night.
Yeah, and it's just you can't stop. So, that's just emblematic.
So how did she respond?
Oh, she was upset, and understandably so.
Right. You weren't going to be fun that night. You were going to be obnoxious and
obnoxious and out of control, and that's the thing is, drinking is one thing, but in chronic alcohol use, other things start to happen. There are personality changes, and we get emotional incontinence from chronic use.
I like that term, emotional incontinence.
Yeah, and it's it's an actual term in psychotherapy, but we just become less able to regulate emotions, and we've all seen people who drink and start crying, or drink and start getting angry,
fighting.
Yeah, fighting.
I've always said, why do they have bouncers in bars and they don't in Nordstrom? There's a reason.
And there's a good reason. It's because, and the thing is what makes addiction a disease is that it has comorbidities, and it also has it gets worse over time. If it's untreated, it gets worse. And those, the incontinence, the personality changes, the blackouts, those are the comorbidities that are signals that you're starting to go down a path that you don't want to go down and you need help with. And if you can't quit on your own, the sooner the better, get help.
So you lost your job. Right?
Oh, I took myself off the flight line.
Good for you.
Yeah, I never, to my credit, I never did violate any FAA regulations or anything like that. I never flew after drinking. But the effects of chronic alcohol use, even if you have a blood alcohol content of 0, you are not on your game.
Right.
You can't be trusted to know and remember and have awareness of all the things that you need to do in a complex situation like flying. Yeah. So
you quit. You pulled yourself out of that job. Mm-hmm. What happened in the ensuing years? Did things get worse for you, or?
So again, an externality. My girlfriend, she has some addiction issues of her own, and she had been through treatment a number of times, and the nature of her addiction left her when she was active in use. She became psychotic and things like that. So it was.
You guys must have been a pair. You drunk on your rear end, and her being psychotic.
And in my personality type and the jobs that I've had, I'm known for not happily suffering fools, And so when she would lose touch with reality, I would just get frustrated and angry, and it was just a feedback loop of interdependence and codependence that was just unhealthy for both of us. She's been sober now for a lot longer than I have, almost a year now. But to your question, it got to the point where I couldn't be relied on to do almost anything. I would drink like more than a fifth a day. And I would go for 4 or 5 days doing that. And then I would just the physical effects would make me, I'd have to stop for 2 or 3 days just to feel anything like normal and have an appetite. And so losing track of like almost entire weeks at a time, being in a blackout for days at a time, drinking first thing in the morning just because you felt so bad that, that not drinking wasn't an option. And eventually that lack of control and the failure to regulate emotions, got me in trouble with the law. And the thing that made the decision for me was, I don't have any history of violence at all, but I grabbed Stephanie by the hair. I didn't strike her or anything, but I got arrested for that, and I bailed out the next day. And when I spoke to Stephanie, without any blame or recrimination, she just said, "I'm not safe if you're drinking." And
she's right.
And she's absolutely right. And it was that moment that made me decide, like this, I'm becoming someone that I can't live with anymore.
So that's everybody always asks, especially families of addicted loved ones, what got you to the point where you agreed you needed help and then you sought help? And that's that. And it must be different with every single person.
Yeah. And I think rock bottom is different for everyone.
Oh, sure.
And
you can hit several rock bottoms. Too.
Yeah. There can be different rock bottoms. For some people, maybe it's unrecognizable. It's like you're doing fine, but something has happened that they can't live with anymore. And for me, it was that. If I'm hurting myself, those are, the cognitive distortions that I have. If I'm hurting myself, it's no one else's business.
I said that a million times.
Yep.
Somebody'd say, "Hey, I'm not hurting you. And if it's hurting me and it's killing my liver and I'm going to die of cirrhosis, then I'll die of cirrhosis." but it's none of your business. So,
Right.
So back off,
But that's well, but for me, that moment when I realized that I was becoming someone who would, without remembering it, without having any control, was able to hurt people. That for me that was a line I was unwilling, that I did cross, but I knew I had to change some things so that it would never happen again. But they say that you have to recover for yourself, right? And that's very true, because it is, it's an odyssey that we undertake to learn about ourselves, and we have to be pretty fearless and look at the motivations that we have. At the same time, though, that we always ask about the meaning of life, and it's the connection to other people that makes life worthwhile.
I agree, because you could go through life and be a multi-millionaire and have no addiction issues or anything else, and live in a mansion and buy some boats or own a plane, and without someone else in your life,
Yeah, what is the point? And at the end of the day, like the Rumi said, that we are all just walking each other home, and it's the each other part that makes life worthwhile. I think people with normal psychology would agree that it's that interconnection, it's other people, it's loving and being loved that makes life meaningful.
I totally agree. What do you, and you bring up a good point. We call ourselves a therapeutic. Most treatment programs are basically some form of therapeutic community, because you're with other peers who are seeking the same end result. And you come from a million different backgrounds: prison, jail, the streets. You being a commercial pilot. Lawyers, doctors, everybody suffers from addiction. But what I find interesting, even though you may not like everybody in your program, you guys sort of pull for each other. I mean, how do you, can you talk about that? Because one of the things people don't realize, that unless you're in jail or prison, treatment programs are not lockdown programs. So you can walk out anytime you want. And you've seen people walk out.
On a number of occasions. We had a resident walk out yesterday and then came back within, he wasn't gone for 2 hours, and he came back. And people have different motivations. You're right. I mean, some people are court-ordered to be in treatment. Others are trying to regain custody of children. But the therapeutic community model is... I think it works because we're responsible for each other. And for some people, that's the first time in their lives that they've actually been held to a standard of accountability in their peers. And so boundaries become important, and accountability becomes important, and your own behavior, modeling behavior for the community becomes important. And personally, like I mentioned before, in addition to being a pilot in command, for decades, I've been a foreman building residential and commercial buildings. I'm a journeyman woodworker, so I've been foreman of a shop. And that's a very different environment. But for all those, for flying and building furniture, I had developed this approach where it basically expecting and demanding, because I thought that if I didn't expect and demand, I was doing a disservice to student pilots. If I didn't expect and demand, I was doing a disservice to the people having the house built, the customers. And what I've learned is that meeting people where they are, and empathy and tone and approach, it doesn't just make the communication more effective and more human. the almost paradoxical part of it is I'm less irritated, because I'm seeking to understand as well as being understood. I it's almost miraculous to me, the change it's made in just how I feel on a day-to-day and minute-to-minute basis, where I thought that I would be promoting weakness in other people if I sought to understand them. It's like, what was it that I needed to understand? You're just not doing what I expect.
Right.
But now that I've really thought about it and tried to change that, the effect has been profound, actually, on like just a happier, just more aware and more human person, I think.
Well, and I don't think the same thing happened to me. I find myself more patient, more understanding, more caring, more concerned about other people, more observant of the beauty of nature, more thankful for each happy day, more equipped to handle an unhappy day. And people don't realize, who have not been addicted, that there is a slow transformation in your brain that you finally begin to recognize with recovery, and it just happens. It happens, naturally.
Yeah, I think it does happen. I mean, physiologically, when we're active in addiction, let's actually quantify it as substance abuse disorder, because people can get addicted to all kinds of things.
Sure.
But when you're using substances, it really, really wreaks havoc on your neurochemical, balance in your brain. And so when you quit, when you've been sober for some period of time, that starts to equalize. It's amazing, the body's ability to heal. And then what doesn't come naturally for some people is learning about what got us to the point where we started to depend on substances. And when we start to learn about, those distortions and those core beliefs that we have that don't serve us, when we can have healthy minds and brains, and also apply what we've learned about some of those beliefs in a mindful way, that's when the change really starts to happen. And that's where the courage and the introspection and being honest with yourself and your peers starts to come in, I think. And it's, for me, the statistics regarding recovery they can be kind of grim.
Yes, they are.
They really can.
Yeah, I think, I don't know what the stats are these days, but you're more than likely to relapse after you leave the program.
Yep. Yeah,
if not within 1 or 2 years, in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and that's
grim.
Yeah, it can be grim, and sometimes in the house we remind residents of that. We have an evening meeting every night, and so we've got upper house is at the front of the room, and then we have lower house, and we present the meeting, and we have to remind people that we like to have fun. We like to have community and laugh and have a good time, but what we're doing is serious. And sometimes we say, look around the room right now, and out of 50 people, choose the 4 or 5 that are going to be successful long term.
Yeah.
And then choose the 40 people who are going to be incarcerated within a year, and choose the 2 or 3 people who statistically they're going to lose their lives to addiction in the next 12 to 24 months. So what we're doing is serious. And though we like to have fun, we have lots of opportunity to recreate, but we can't lose sight of what we're doing. And that, I think that brings to mind in people the importance of the peer community, and the therapeutic community, and sometimes the unpleasant task of holding each other accountable.
And which is hard to do, right? You know, you have somebody that you've struck up a bond with, and that person, you see that person reaching in somebody else's drawer to take something they want.
Yep.
And according to our rules, and really according to societal rules, it's sort of up to you to call them out as well as alert others to what that person did. Hold that person accountable, but that's hard.
It's one of those boundary issues.
Hey, you're my buddy. Why are you doing this?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Why are you holding me out, or putting me on blast because I thought we were friends? And the fact is that it's those behaviors that they're part of why we're in the situation we're in, but also. If you look at the therapeutic community as a microcosm of life, and it's about behavioral modification.
You're right.
Right. And so the penalties that we have at Odyssey House, and there are behavioral interventions that we have to use, but the most serious one is honestly, it's nothing compared to what you can run into in the real world as far as the criminal justice system or losing custody of your kids.
Or death.
It pales in comparison. And where a lot of criminal justice is strictly punitive, the behavioral interventions at Odyssey are, basically it's giving service back to the community, and oftentimes involves writing a paper about a recovery maxim or something from our concept manual. And it's tailor-made to invite you to think about the behavior and really, really introspect and get into it and think about how that behavior isn't serving you and the community at large.
And compare that punishment or whatever you want to call it to what could happen to you in the outside world, and it's minor.
It's vanishingly minor.
We're almost out of time. What do you hope to do when you get out?
Boy, you know what is I'm going to give back to the recovery community, and in doing so, hope that I can help other people, and also keeping a 1 foot in the recovery community, at least on a part-time basis, is going to keep me focused on my own recovery. As soon as I have 12 months of documented sobriety, I'm going to appeal to the FAA to get my pilot license back. And I'll probably build furniture to make a living until then, and work part-time, probably for Odyssey House.
No, I hope all of that is accomplished and you're back up in the air someday, because obviously you love that.
Yes.
Yeah. I've got to tell you, Chuck, this is one of the most intelligent conversations we've had on a podcast talking about, especially alcoholism, but it applies to all forms of addiction. So
Yeah.
you're handling things so well, and you're going to have a bright future.
Well, I certainly hope so, and I appreciate that, Randall.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing and bearing your soul to the world. I appreciate it. And I hope all of you out there watching or listening appreciate it as well. So thank you for watching or listening to another edition of Odyssey House Journals.